for some reason it doesn't work. Maybe the collards, once they grow back, shade it out too much and nothing can really grow in that canopy there. I don't know, we'll see if it does. What's up, Lazy Dog fam? Hope everybody out there is having a wonderful day. It is Tuesday, January 24th here in South Georgia. Got some more rain coming tonight and then a cool spell after that. And so today we're going to try and see if we can get back on the greens bus a little bit. I think our collards are finally ready to harvest again after recovering from the Arctic blast. So we're going to see if we can get us a nice mess of greens to enjoy during this cool spell. After we harvest those collards, we're going to try something I've never tried before, but I think it's going to work. Then we're going to check on our carrots. Then we're going to head on over to the greenhouse and answer some questions we've been getting about our fig trees. So let's start out with our collards here, which have made quite the comeback. Still got a few rough looking leaves on the bottom there. Those probably aren't going to recover. We'll just give those to the chickens. But this top growth is looking really, really good. Now you may see some stuff around the base of the plants there. That's some of that Nature Say 1300 I had left in my bucket after fertilizing our onions a few videos ago. So I just put some at the base of these plants, give them a little extra juice. Now the leaves on these aren't real big yet since they've recovered, but I think they're big enough for us to get a nice little mess here. So we're going to go through here and do a little harvest and a little cleanup. So these leaves, like that one right there, looks pretty rough. We're going to chunk those in our dog's bucket, give those to the chickens later, and then we're going to keep the good looking leaves. Hopefully have enough for a mess of collards here. Those there look pretty rough. Those will go to the chickens, probably that one there too. We'll get some of these baby leaves off here. Make sure we leave a few at the top so they can continue to produce for us. These little young, smaller leaves of collards are really, really tasty. So after cleaning those up and getting what we could get, we got about 2.5 bags worth there. Enough for probably about a mid-size pot of collards. Got some scraps over there for the chickens. And these plants should continue to produce for us. Should get at least 2 or 3 more harvests from these before they bolt when it gets really, really hot. Now I do have 2 plants over here that look kind of rough. That one there. And then this one over here. I don't know how much more productive those 2 plants will be, but the rest of them in this bed here look pretty good. Now when these collard plants grow and get full of nice big leaves, it looks like we're using our space in here pretty efficiently. But after we harvest them like this, we can see we got a lot of empty space in there. And at first it didn't bother me, but now it's starting to bother me a little bit. So I want to try something, see if I can grow something else in here in this empty space. So this idea just kind of hit me the other day, and then later that day I was ordering some heirloom tomato seeds online from In My Gardener. I thought, well, let me just pick up a few packets of this right here. This will be something good to try between those collards. So we just got cut and come again lettuce mix here. These are raw lettuce seeds, and we're going to strow those out there in that bed and see what happens. But before we strow some seeds, I do kind of want to level this out a little bit, scratch it up just a little bit. It's a tiny bit compacted from that heavy rain we had the other day. I'm just going to take my little 3-ton cultivator here, just kind of go back and forth, scuff it up just a hair before we plant these seeds. So I got 2 packets of this, and I think I'm just going to spread both packets in this middle space here. I want to plant these pretty thick. So I just poured out the seeds in my hand. We're just going to kind of sprinkle them out here as evenly as possible, doing it this way. Now we've got our seeds spread out there. I'm not really going to cover these up. Just want to pack them into the soil. Sometimes light can help lettuce seeds germinate. So I'm just going to kind of firm it up a little bit here, because we are supposed to get a good bit of rain tomorrow. Just going to kind of press them down into the soil. Now these lettuce seeds we just planted probably won't germinate until after this little cool spell passes, but I want to go ahead and get them planted while I had it on my mind. And hopefully this works. If it does, we'll be using our bed space a lot more efficiently. for some reason it doesn't work. Maybe the collards, once they grow back, shade it out too much and nothing can really grow in that canopy there. I don't know, we'll see. If it doesn't work, we've only lost $4 for 2 packs of seed, no big deal. Now before we go to the greenhouse, let's check on our carrots here. So these carrots actually look like I was just kind of late getting them planted because the tops are kind of small. But these tops were once this size or a little bit bigger, and they got completely bit back by the Arctic blast, and now they have regrown almost to the point where they were at before the Arctic blast. Didn't seem to harm what was underneath the ground, but it definitely hurt the tops there. Now until we had that Arctic blast late last year, I had never seen carrots get bit like that down here. Maybe a little browning on the tips, but nothing where it just lays them down completely like it did. So I'm kind of curious to see here if the tops ever get really big before the carrots are ready down here. Usually we can kind of use the size of the tops to gauge if the carrots are ready to harvest. Let's pull one here and see what we've got. See if we've got anything with these little bitty tops here. So this is one of the dragon carrots, and these tend to be a little faster maturing. And look at there. So we've already got some nice looking carrots there. They'll get bigger than that, but we can certainly eat that one there. So it looks like what was under the soil kind of kept growing while this stuff on top here was recovering a little bit. And so we've got some decent sized carrots in there with some pretty small tops right now. So I like what I'm seeing so far on the purple dragon carrots. Let's see if the same thing is happening in here with some of these orange carrots. I can steal one right here out of this little bunch. That one's got 3 legs on it, but it's getting there. Not quite as big as the dragon. The dragon is a little more earlier maturing. It seems to get to size quicker than the orange carrots. But we can start stealing a few of those for pot roast and just kind of snacking. So the Arctic blast definitely stunted our carrots or slowed them down a little bit. But it looks like we're still going to get some good groceries from these carrot beds. Maybe these don't get as big as they were going to get before they got bitten by that nasty freeze, but they're going to be big enough to eat. Alright, so now let's talk about these fig trees. So we've been getting a lot of questions from people who have either purchased trees already and maybe have already had them delivered, or people who are thinking about purchasing trees. So I figured this would be a good opportunity to go ahead and answer all those questions. So the greenhouse is still pretty packed full of fig trees, although we are slowly making a little room here so we can start some peppers and tomatoes in the next few weeks. We've got a good many of them stepped up to the 4x9 pots that we use to ship these things in. We still have some that are just starting to form leaves, just starting to form roots, and will still need to be stepped up. We're not completely out of any particular variety yet, but we are starting to get a little low on a couple varieties. So if you go to our website, lazydogfarm.com, look at the fig trees and see some that say out of stock. They're not technically out of stock yet. We still have more inventory to add to those particular varieties. I don't like to add them to the online inventory until we get them stepped up to the larger pots, so I know we got a nice viable tree there. So still more to come. If there was a variety you didn't get that you wanted to get, just keep an eye on the website. We're still adding more inventory, seems like every week. So we've already started shipping some trees to the southern states. We shipped several hundred trees last week. Not shipping any trees this week because it's pretty chilly and I don't feel like I can get them anywhere without freezing. We'll start back shipping next week once it warms up a little bit. Starting with the southern states first, and then we'll kind of work our way up north as temperatures warm towards spring. We've had a lot of people up north in Maine, New Jersey, Pennsylvania order trees, and so we're going to wait till it's warm enough to ship up there, but until then we're taking good care of them right here in the greenhouse. So let's go over a few questions that people have been asking about these trees. So starting out, this is the box you'll get if you order one of the trees. Each tree is shipped individually, so if you order more than one tree, you'll get more than one package. So we ship them in a box like this. When you get this box, it's a lot easier to get the tree out if you cut it open from the bottom. You can cut it open from the top, but just a little tip, if you cut it open from the bottom, a lot easier to slide the tree out of there. Now when you get the tree out of the box, it'll look like this right here. We've got these bamboo stakes that keep the tree from moving around inside the box there. fig trees don't need any kind of support system. They don't need to be staked with these little bamboo poles here. You can save them, use them for something else in your garden if you want to, or just chunk them. But we just use them to keep everything stationary in the box. So you can pull out those stakes there, and then we've got a bag wrapped around the tree to keep the soil from moving around. That's zip tied right here, so all you want to do is just take that zip tie, clip it like that. Then you can take the bag off here. You got your nice fig tree, and you got your tag, so you can remember what variety it is. So once you get your tree unwrapped, what do you need to do with it? Well, the first thing you're going to need to do is give it a little bit of water. I've yet to have one of these trees be DOA, but it's probably going to be a little bit thirsty after that ride in the box from my place to yours. And then I'd recommend watering the tree about every 2 days for the foreseeable future. That's how often we water the trees in our greenhouse here. I come out here every other day, give them a nice little splash. Now, in addition to giving it some water, you want to make sure this puppy doesn't get too cold. Now, fig trees, once established, are fairly cold hardy. But these young baby trees like this have some green growth on them here that can be a little cold sensitive. So I wouldn't let this tree get colder than 40 degrees. It'd be just fine if you leave it in your house at room temp, you know, anything between 65, 75, whatever you keep your house at. If you got a greenhouse, that's fine too. Just make sure it doesn't get too hot in there. But keeping it inside, just giving a little water every other day, it'll be just fine like that. Now, we've also had a lot of people asking, do they need to put this in a bigger pot, or can they just leave it in here? And I guess that depends on what your end goal is with the tree. If you're planning on putting this puppy in the ground, once everything gets nice and warm in spring, no need to put it in a bigger pot. It'll be just fine in here. All the fig trees I've ever planted in my orchard have came from a pot like this, so no need to step it up into a larger pot. However, if the final destination for this tree is not in the ground and you're going to put it in a container or a big pot so you can move it inside during the winter, you can kind of step it up whenever you want to, assuming that pot or container is going to be indoors until things warm up in the spring. Now, I would probably baby this tree a little bit for the first couple weeks before I put it in the pot or container, but after that, you can do it whenever you want. Now, we'll be doing several videos this spring when we start planting trees to add to our existing orchard. But if you're south of us and ahead of us and you're going to go ahead and put this puppy in the ground pretty soon, just make sure you give it some water every other day after you put it in the ground until it gets those roots established in the new soil there. Kind of baby it a little bit after you plant it until it gets going. Now, if you're getting a lot of rain, you won't have to water it as much, but make sure you give it some water every other day, assuming no rainfall. Now, another question we've been getting is, do you need to fertilize these fig trees? And that's a really good question, because you got to be a little careful. Now, I fertilize all my trees with this stuff right here in the greenhouse, so it's injected at a very, very low rate through my watering system. Every time I water, they're getting some of this Agri-Thrive general purpose. So this tree has already been fertilized a little bit, like I said, at a very, very low rate. Now, once you have a fig tree established in the ground, say a 2-3-year-old fig tree, you can push them pretty hard with organic or synthetic fertilizers. But you got to be pretty careful in the beginning, because if you give them too much, especially synthetic fertilizer, it can burn them. So I would recommend not giving them any of the blue stuff or any synthetic fertilizer in the first year. You're fine with something like this, with some fish emulsion, not really going to burn them with that, but just be careful in the first year not to over fertilize them, because it can burn them back. Now, the next question is, how much growth can I expect out of this tree in the first year? Now, these trees here are all about 4 years old, and you can see varying degrees of growth with them, so it depends a little bit on variety, but I'll give you an idea of what you can expect in the first year. So here's a Canadria tree that I planted this past spring. Obviously it's dormant now, but we started out with what you see there, a tree in a little 4x9 pot, and it got up to about 4 foot tall in 1 year there. Actually got a few little figs off that tree, so that's kind of what you can expect in the first year. You don't always get figs in the first year, but sometimes you do. So hopefully that answers most, if not all, the questions we've been getting lately about these beautiful baby fig trees. Now, I've also added a section at the bottom of each fig tree product page with a lot of growing information, growing tips. Got a blurb there about rust. If you've never grown fig trees before, they'll get rust on the leaves, these little spots on the leaves, nothing to worry about, happens to all fig trees. But you can read more about that on our website at lazydogfarm.com. Just click on any of the fig tree varieties, scroll down, and you'll see all that good information there. So I hope you enjoyed the video today, and back to what we were doing earlier, let me know in the comments below what you think about my little lettuce and collard interplanting experiment. You think that's going to work, or you think I just wasted $4? As always, you can find links in the description below to all our affiliate partners, including MI Gardener, where we got those lettuce seeds, and AgriThrive, which is what we use to fertilize our fig trees. Got some coupon codes for some of those companies so you can take advantage of those discounts. Don't forget to go check out our website, lazydogfarm.com, where we have our fig trees, recipes, our garden blog, all kind of good stuff over there. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to subscribe, hit that notification button, like and share, and we'll see you next time right here at Lazy Dog Farm.
Oh, farewell, by the beauty of your life.